We'll call the Caroline County Board of Supervisors meeting to order. I'm going to ask Supervisor Jeff Black if he would give us an invocation, after which I would ask that you remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Dear God, as we come here tonight, we ask for your blessing. In this season of Christmas, we ask that you look down on all those people who do not have as much as we do. We ask you to look over everyone. We ask you to look over our military overseas serving our country, those who serve us and put their lives in danger every day. We ask you to help those who are poor, who are homeless during this time of giving. Thank you. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there additional amendments to the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have two. Today I had a request from the schools to put on an easement for the Bowling Green construction to give to Rappahannock Electric Co-op. And then we have a request that came in late this afternoon from the town of Port Royal to authorize an engineering contract on their water project and grant that they want to submit to DCDH. So one we put on consent, and the other one, both on consent. G and H.
G is school easement.
And H is project to
Port Royal Water Project.
Port Water Project.
That was one. I don't think do we have any information on that at all, other than just, well, it was under item 3, it showed.
Did you pass this out, Alan,
yeah,
to everybody?
Right here it is.
It's marked number 3H. It's not on blue paper. It just got here tonight.
It was on the table.
This was from a meeting this afternoon. That's why we just got this done.
Any questions about adding these items to the agenda? Is there a motion to approve the amendments to the agenda as outlined by the county administrator and has been given to you earlier? Second. Motion by Mr. Thomas, seconded by Mr. Seeley. Discussion on the motion. All in favor vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. And the motion is carried. Board opening comments. Mr. Black?
Yes, I got a couple here. We were given, emailed by Ms. Moen's office, some numbers on the voting by district. And I'd like to just say that I'm pretty proud of the Western Caroline district, which had the highest percentage of turnout of voters of all the districts. So I'd like to say thank you to the voters of Western Caroline for that. Also, a couple of weeks ago, I got an invitation from Lieutenant Colonel Dargle to come to Fort A.P. Hill. They're doing a program which they're trying to outreach to the community and as well as their own employees to go on to the fort and see what it's like to be a U.S. soldier for the day. It was an amazing time. I think it's a great program that Fort A.P. Hill is doing. We got to fire all kinds of different weapons and see some demonstrations of what a U.S. soldier does during the day. And I don't think that I don't think we truly understand what they do on a daily basis. So it really was amazing. I learned a lot and also learned I can't fire a gun worth anything. But besides that, it was a great time, so I'd like to thank them.
Thank you. Mr. Taylor?
Just a couple of, would like to just remind each of us of the gala on Thursday coming up. Senior citizens will be recognized, and it's a good time for all, and the board seems to be able to say thank you to our senior citizens, and so we ask that you would remember that and our citizens as well. That's all I have.
Mr. Underwood?
Just a couple, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Culley and Chief Loftus for sending the information down to the Frog Level Rescue Squad. I know there's been some discussion. Chief Loftus came to the meeting, And certainly I think there's a better understanding of the needs and what needs to be done in order to bring this rescue squad back into service. And I do think that Chief Loftus did an excellent job of discussing the liability and responsibilities that go along with serving the citizens of Caroline County. So I was very pleased, and I appreciate both of you guys for putting the memo together, and Chief Loftus for attending the meeting also on last Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Seeley?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For those that weren't at my constituent meeting, I had great turnout. I want to thank everybody for coming out those evenings. And second of all, the cell tower, for those that haven't heard, should be turned on by the end of the year. I don't know if they've done the third-party inspection and finished the tower inspection, which is, I think, one of the things they have to have before that tower goes live. And I know everybody's wondering when, but Verizon has promised me that it will happen by the end of this calendar year. So all I can say is keep checking the bars on your cell phone, and you should know when it goes live. The other is Mr. Black will be gone this weekend, and I'd just like to let everybody know he's going to his grandmother's 90th birthday, which I think is pretty incredible this day and time in light of the Senior Citizens Gala and us honoring the folks that are seniors in Caroline. I'd like to say happy birthday to his grandmother for him for 90 years. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Mr. Thomas?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of quick things. I'm having a district meeting December 11th, which is next Tuesday, right here in the Community Services Building. December 5th is the last day for us to pay our county taxes, personal property, so I'm not really reminding you, I'm reminding myself. And just to correct Mr. Black, the spreadsheet with the percentages didn't come from the register, but it came from me. So, but that's all right.
Good job. Good job. Would like to remind everybody that on December the 15th, the Caroline County YMCA Committee is having a Toys for Tots drive. They had a food drive for Thanksgiving, and it was absolutely amazing. They collected about 10 to 12 large boxes of food, and so we were pleased with that. They had a meeting last night, and there were some toys already being delivered. But if you will come to the storefront location at Lady Smith Food Line on the 15th, the toys would be greatly appreciated, as well as you can sign up to join the YMCA that day as well. But it is the 15th of December, Toys for Tots Drive, and we would appreciate the support. All right. The next item on the agenda is going to be presentations and reports. Bi-monthly report from VDOT.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members. My name is Gary Duvall. I am the residency administrator for Fredericksburg Residency, and I will hopefully be here to serve you for many years to come. So looking forward to being that. Been in my position less than 2 months, and so I sent you a brief update this morning by email, and thought I'd go through a couple projects and then highlight a couple items that might be of interest, and then see if you have anything for VDOT. Okay. I have with me Mr. Sean Nelson. Sean is the assistant residency administrator, and he and I work very well together. A couple of projects that we have going on now: construction, Route 301 over the Rappahannock River. That project started back in March and is expected to be completed in July of next year, 2013. Our 207 bridge is under construction today, and that construction started in January, and we hope to complete that project on May the 14th of 2013. And then Route 644 bridge is also under replacement, and the old bridge has been demolished. The new bridge piles are being driven now, and we hope to complete that project in June of 2013. A couple of projects that are coming up to close to being advertised. The first one is the Route 600 bridge replacement over Boot Swamp. The project was advertised this past month, and we hope to receive bids mid-December. So at our next meeting, I'll have a report to you who the bid has been awarded to, and we'll get that project underway for you. I also have forwarded you copies of the proposed detour for Route 654. That design is underway, and we'll hopefully start right-of-way acquisition in the spring of 2013. We have a public meeting scheduled for December the 17th at our district office, and that'll be to talk about the possibility of tolling proposal for Route 95. So if anybody's interested in coming to that, we would love for you to attend that meeting. Getting back to individual requests that I have on my plate, I found where a speed study has been requested for Route 658 Jericho Road, and that is in the area of Boones Park Road. VDOT completed that speed study in August of this year, and the study itself supports maintaining the current 55-mile-an-hour limit. All these statements that I make today, I would love for you to set up a meeting with me if you'd like and talk about them, if there's anything, further questions or whatever, and I certainly offer that opportunity to everybody here. The second project we looked at was a speed study on Route 639, Ladysmith Road, from 207 to St. John's Church. And VDOT conducted a study in September of this year, and that also supports the current 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. The sheriff had requested that us look at a study to look at Route 712, which is Green Road, and that's concerned the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit there is too low. That study was completed, and now we have already implemented the designation now to be 35 miles an hour, and those signs were installed in August of this year. There's a request to do a speed study and report about how it was done on 682 Beasley Lane, right across the street from where we are tonight. The ADT, which is average daily traffic, is roughly 220 vehicles per day. And looking at standard engineering practice, you usually do not do a speed study on a road with that low a thing. So what we did, we had our senior traffic engineer himself come by and visit Beasley Road and look at it. And his suggestion is that the 45-mile-an-hour speed limit that is posted to be remained. So like I said, I offer myself, if anybody would like to meet and talk about that, I'd be glad to do that. Mr. Black had a question for us on Route 1 and 639 signal needed to be adjusted to handle the eastbound traffic. And we have looked at that. That work was completed in October, and I think that's working very well. And then Mr. Cully had talked to us about a pavement condition on Route 207. That was very rutted, and I think we promised back in July that we'd try to get that in 6 to 8 weeks. That work was completed around the 15th of October.
Where was that?
Mr. Cully, do you, and I'm...
Down in Carmel Church? Oh, all right, that's fine.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's fine.
Gentlemen, you have any questions for us?
Mr. Black? Mr. Taylor?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Thank you very much for being here tonight.
Yes, sir.
A concern I have is with Stonewall Jackson Road.
Yes, sir.
It's the area that's just past Guinness Station Road.
Yes, sir.
And Stonewall Jackson headed towards the Thornburg area.
Okay.
There is a stretch of road there where there used to be, well, it's a bridge there.
Okay.
And there is some guardrails there, but then there are there's quite a bit of area there where there is no guardrail.
Okay.
And it's very deep, and there's water,
Okay.
On the sides, and sometimes it's worse than others. Obviously, with the
Okay.
drought situation that we're in now, I don't think water is quite as much of an issue
Okay.
as it is when you get lots of rain. But I would certainly like for VDOT to look at that.
Yes, sir.
And maybe look at the possibility of some guardrails along that area, or
Okay.
just report your findings and
Yes,
what
sir.
you think might
Okay.
be a way to address some of that
All right.
issue.
Be glad to. Is there a problem if I contact you or maybe contact Alan
Oh, not
to
at
say,
all.
to make sure the location is proper?
Not at all.
Okay. All right.
I'll be
Okay.
glad to talk
Great.
with you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess my concern is Jericho Road. I know it's 55 seems awful quick going down Jericho Road still.
Okay.
What were the numbers that you looked at, the daily averages, I believe you quoted?
All right, let's look at Jericho Road, if you can give me just a second. Jericho Road, that study was done in August of this year. Let's see if we have an ADT on that one. Well, the one that I talked about, the 220, was on Beasley. The ADT on Jericho is 1,875 vehicles per day. And that's an average count that goes from 2011 to 2012.
Okay. What would the count have to be in order to even consider making a reduction? What would you be looking at?
The count itself is not an indicator of speed.
Okay.
Count just kind of tells you how much traffic is there, and so you need a certain volume to be able then to justify comparisons.
Okay.
So, we might have, 40, 50,000 vehicles a day on 95, but that's not an indicator for the actual speed. Speed
Right.
has a lot of things into consideration. So we look at the width, the design, the hills, the curves, and things like that. So I would offer to you, if there's any location on Jericho that you'd like, to have someone meet you or something there, we could, certainly come out and look at it. Sometimes during times of day, things change. It may be, something that you might see that we don't. If we came out, just went out there like, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the traffic that is there is really going on in the morning or something like that. So maybe we could look at things like that, so I'd be glad to do that.
I just know that Christian School at Carmel Christian is there on Jericho Road, and I just look at Route 1 is 55 miles per hour, but yet on Jericho Road it's 55. I just think there's a clear difference there, and just concerns me for the citizenry there.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Seeley?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've talked with the county administrator. I don't know if we've gotten here, but where you're working on the railroad bridge on 207,
Yes, sir.
the right-hand lane is where the double lanes used to be, and it's now heading towards Carmel Church.
All right.
The edge of the pavement is now, there's actually no material there. And I watched somebody come off the road, and I wasn't sure what they were going to do because they tried to get back on and couldn't.
Good night, because there was such a lip there.
Because the lip is so tall,
Okay.
and it was pretty frightening. I almost stopped, and I was afraid they were going to come out and hit that Jersey wall and then
Right.
have a real problem.
Okay.
Can we get somebody to look at actually filling that whole edge in, because it is in many, many places gone, particularly if there's a lot of water drainage off the road?
Sure. We encourage that very much, that you contact us. A couple ways of contacting us. You can certainly call me 24/7 at the numbers I gave you there, email, etc. And then there's another source that works very well, 1-800-4-ROAD. That's available to any citizen in the state of Virginia to call about any concern they have on any road in Virginia. 1-800-FOR-ROAD. Works very well. We respond to that very well. Thank you.
But if we could get that looked at, because that's a real problem.
Yes, sir. We'll have that looked at tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Thomas?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Duvall. You just said numbers that were here. Was that on something you gave us before that I don't have? Or?
I apologize. I just sent a real quick email this morning to
Oh, that's fine. Okay, if you sent an email, then
Yep.
we probably
Okay.
got it and
Well,
didn't
that's-
check. Okay, that's fine.
Sorry.
That's fine. You said for mine was 639, the speed study,
Yes, sir.
and your words were it supports 55 miles an hour?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Define how you come up to that conclusion. I mean, the road itself, and to be frank, you were a different person than the last VDOT representative we had here,
Absolutely.
and you may not have been privy to our discussions,
Yes, sir.
but that particular discussion requesting the speed study was made by the residents because there were now a lot of small children there.
Right.
The neighborhood had basically changed from what it was.
Yes, sir.
Do things like that factor into your decision?
The decision is made by traffic engineering and recommendation to us. And so, like I said, I'll be glad to, if there's any particular location in there to, to look at, go back and look at it, no problem whatsoever.
Okay, so I would just contact you via that?
Yes, sir.
And you and I can go out, or you and I and the engineer, we can go out and I can show you where the kids live, and
Absolutely. Oh, yes.
that, would that affect your decision, or is this?
Well, if there's things that we are not aware of, absolutely.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
All right,
Oh,
and
yes.
that's-
Yes, most definitely.
that's fair.
Yes, sir.
Okay, my second one was, it probably got lost, but I had been requesting, it's actually in Mr. Seeley's district, I've got a couple, well,
Okay.
the road is a divider, so it's half mine, half his.
Okay.
But 207 Business,
Yes,
as
sir.
you go across past
Okay.
the Bowling Green food line,
Yes, sir.
not sure whether it's, well, it's in the town, so that's still Broadus? Still Broadus. Yeah, so it's still Broadus. It's Broadus Street. There used to be a crosswalk
Okay.
between the apartments and the food line,
All right.
and if it would be possible to put a crosswalk back again?
This is close to the McDonald's. McDonald's is
It's,
just...
yes,
Okay.
it's a little west of the McDonald's. The
Okay.
food line's right there. There's
Right.
actually, in the parking lot itself, there are stepstones or stepping stones, like they've made a pathway
Okay.
there already, and it might be nice to connect. And to me, a crosswalk near the McDonald's, in the middle of that, is a great thing.
Okay.
And since there are literally 45-mile-an-hour speed limit signs a quarter mile on each side, could we make it 35?
What I'll do is I'll be glad to look in and take this as a request, and I apologize for not seeing it before. But I'll look at 207 for a crosswalk
Correct.
there at Food Line that will connect Food Line with the apartments.
With the apartments across the street,
Okay,
yes.
across the street.
Yes.
And then also, the second request is to look at the existing 45-mile-an-hour speed limit?
It's 40.
40, okay, I apologize.
It's 40. And,
Okay.
and I know in the town and on the next street over, which is Milford Street, that's 35 miles an hour.
Okay,
We'd only be slowing people down, theoretically,
Sure.
slowing people down 5 miles an hour in
Right.
that little busy area.
Right.
But if you want to sit at McDonald's one day, it's kind of interesting to
Right.
watch the
To watch
cars
the
coming
traffic.
in and out,
okay.
even at that 40. So those
Right.
are the two. The other one I have is actually 207 Business.
Yes, sir?
If you're going up 301 towards Fredericksburg,
Okay,
our second traffic light,
yes, sir.
because we're a two-traffic light town.
I got you.
Our second light, if you make that right,
Yes, sir?
that's 207 Business.
Correct.
And that's probably still Broadus.
Right.
There was a contractor that VDOT had to do new asphalt there.
Yes, sir?
Whoever that contractor is, you probably might want to consider not using them again,
Okay,
because that asphalt is basically cracked up already, and it hasn't been 6 months.
Okay.
And it's fairly bad. I don't know if you see it, but it's very bad.
okay.
Okay?
All right. We'll take a look at it.
All right.
Thank you.
Then I have, we probably should have had our own meeting, Mr. Duval, but
Okay.
I'm sorry I missed your email. I have quite a few road issues in the Belmont subdivision
Yes, sir?
that were turned over to VDOT,
Okay.
so I'm just going to mention them to you.
Maybe I'll call one day if you don't mind. We'll take a look at them, if
I
that's
would
all
be-
right.
I would, be very happy to do that. But I have Omaha Drive,
All right.
which was the contractor's responsibility. We're waiting to do something with Arby's and their entrance before you open it up.
Okay.
It's literally 30 feet before the road is open, but there was an asphalt paving. It stopped 30 feet from the new Circle Drive at the Visitor Center.
All right.
And then I have an extremely large number of cracks and curbs. Mr. Fincham and I have been working on those and have a list I'll be happy to supply you with.
Okay.
And I think that'll do.
Good.
Thank you, sir. I look forward to
Look
seeing
forward
you
to it.
again.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Several months ago, I'd asked when the lady was here to look at Route 1, near the intersection of Route 1 and 639.
Yes, sir.
There is a convenience store sitting on the corner.
Okay.
And I asked to look at the feasibility of putting in cones or something that would not allow people to make as you were going south on Route 1, to make a left into this facility.
Okay.
Or as you were coming out of the facility, you wouldn't be able to make a left getting on Route 1 because of the danger of people having accidents there. And as far as I know, nothing was ever done. I'm just wondering why that's at. I didn't hear you mention that tonight.
No, sir, I did not mention it. I'll have to make a statement that I did read an email, and I was thinking that VDOT had already addressed that with you,
Okay.
but
They had not.
it sounds like we have not. If you don't mind, I beg your condolence that I will get myself a little bit better prepared and get back with you on that issue. I apologize for that.
That's fine. And I would like, maybe if we could schedule a time when you could come down, I'd like to show you that intersection and
Okay.
the issues that I have.
Yes, sir.
I think Mr. Underwood would like to show you that the Boones Park Road area, there are a lot of family homes there, a lot of young kids that are living in that particular area. And it was requested by some of the residents there that we look at reducing the speed limit.
Yes, sir.
I understand what the criteria is, and I've heard
Right.
many, many times over the years from VDOT what the criteria
Right.
was, but I really don't understand, just because somebody runs 55 miles an hour
Right.
Down that road on a constant basis,
Right.
that still doesn't make it safe, that they're running 55. It may be safer if they're running 45 or
Yes,
something.
sir.
lesser than
I'd like to
50.
be able to work with you on that issue.
Right.
I can preach to you about how a traffic engineer tells you that, but I'd rather not do that.
No,
So-
I understand. I
Yeah.
understand completely, because
Okay.
I've heard it so many times, I probably could
Okay, you can give
address
it back
it
to
as
me.
easy
Okay,
as
okay.
you could.
Sure.
But I think we just need to look at those areas,
Certainly.
and
Oh, yeah.
so you can see what the
Yes,
issues
sir.
are.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate very much you being here.
Sure.
And
I will offer to everybody that if it's not me, Sean is
Sure.
certainly possibly available too. So,
absolutely,
yeah,
that would
okay,
be great if we could do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Duvall.
gonna
I
be
appreciate
back.
you being here. I'm sorry.
Mr. Duvall, are you going to be back on a regular basis?
My plan is
Bi-monthly?
at your pleasure every 2 months. Is that okay?
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate
Thanks
you
very
coming
much.
out.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Ms. Moyne, Scoop, the electoral board.
I got his email. Yeah. I just looked at it. They bought props?
Good evening.
Good evening,
Good to
gentlemen.
see you.
Good
We
evening.
are here at the request, I believe, of Mr. Thomas. He has some questions that he would like to ask us
Yes.
about the election. Before we get started, this is Cheryl Johnson, who's on the electoral board with myself, Kathy Self, and of course, y'all know Danette Mullen. And I have one fantastic thing to tell you in the fact that with everything that you heard in all the newspaper reports about problems and everything, Caroline County had none. We came through it with no major problems to report in the newspaper or on the national news. We stayed under the wire.
Sounds great.
So we're proud of ourselves.
I understand.
Mr. Thomas, I believe you had some questions that you wanted to address.
Yes, ma'am, and as I said during the opening board comments, you sent us a PDF, which I couldn't change or do anything or manipulate, so I basically took those numbers, put them in my own little spreadsheet, and that's what I sent to the rest of the board to make sure we all had it.
Right.
But I'm going to say, first of all, I want to commend all of the volunteers or slight volunteers, the people that worked at the polls, for doing an excellent job. I know they're volunteers or they're paid very little. We appreciate all the hard work they did. So I'm starting off saying thank you very much.
Right. And I'd also like to thank the police department and everybody else who helped us. They were absolutely outstanding. We could not have had this election if we'd not had the support of the community behind us.
Well, I thank you guys again. I think you did a great job. I just had a couple of things I wanted to talk about
Yes, sir.
to make sure we did a better job in the future. One is I volunteer for the most part to help people who are handicapped, can't get in. I'm at the polls the whole day. When I go in the polls 4 or 5 times, it looks a little, whatever the right word is, confusing, because I've got to go in and vote. I go in and ask somebody for an outside voting machine. And what I'm going to do in the future is all of those people that I know that do the same thing, we're going to get little tags that say volunteer, voter assistance volunteer. So we're helping on the outside, and we would like you, the folks on the inside, to be aware of who we are.
Yes, sir.
So
That would
we'll
help
make
us.
sure that happens the
Right.
next time. So that's going to help us, work a little better. My real issue is at 6 o'clock in the morning, at the Mattaponi precinct or the Mattaponi district, they were lined up from the start of the door all the way out to the parking lot.
Yes, sir.
That's not your fault. Nobody's fault. They all wanted to get there and vote early. My issue is, how do we, and I know we can't buy more win vote machines.
No, sir, we cannot. State will not let us do that.
I know that's an issue. How do we allocate machines or change the precinct? Because in my case, I have 2 precincts, but they're all exactly the same now.
Okay. We used all of our win vote machines that were available to us. We had no extras that we could put out. So if we had a win vote machine that went down,
Right.
that meant that particular precinct was going to have to work that much harder to try and get the
Right.
people through. And
And-
unfortunately,
And again,
We do
I'm-
have one more than the law allows, so even when one goes down, we're not breaking the law that says that we have to have one for every 750 people, because as you can see by what we sent you, we do try to send one extra, so that we have an extra one, more than what we're told to have.
Okay, and that was the one thing I wanted to make sure, the information you sent out had VM number per county and then VMC attached. And I guess you had the same thing you sent us?
yes, sir.
So the first VM number per county is actually the number of voting machines that each precinct had?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Well, in that case, the Mattaponi district was the 3rd largest district in terms of registered voters.
Yes.
It was actually the 2nd largest district in terms of voter turnout, but they had the fewest number of machines. It appears that every other district had 7 machines, and every other district, not precinct, district. Those are precincts. Port Royal had 6, but they're the 5th lowest in terms of voter machines. All I'm saying is, it seems like the districts with, because Dawn or the Reedy Church district had the most registered voters. They had 7 machines. Bowling Green had the 2nd most registered voters. They had 7 machines. Mattaponi had the 3rd most registered voters, but they had 6 machines. Now, in terms of turnout, Mattaponi had the 2nd highest turnout behind Dawn. And these are your numbers that I just took your numbers and did percentages behind it.
So what we will need
Right.
to do is remember that what we can do is in the future, look at the turnout and see if, because what we did is we take the number of active and divide by 750, but we've not taken into consideration turnout in like elections. So we can write down for this election that you had the 3rd, did you say,
We had
second
the
largest?
2nd largest turnout.
Second largest turnout. And
And we
and
were
that
the,
West Mattaponi would probably,
yeah.
then we could say that West Mattaponi could get 4 machines, and then we'll find one that had less turnout,
Right.
that had 4 machines, and move one of those machines.
Exactly. That's
And my suggestion, if we let our people also know that if you work outside of the county, you can vote absentee, and we're open for absentee voting 45 days before
Right.
every election. So if those people who don't like to stand there for an hour at 6 o'clock, they've got 45 days, they could come see me and leisurely come in and vote.
and
have
it's,
Saturday.
it's not you, it's the
Yes.
state. We don't have early voting. We have absentee voting.
Correct. But if you work outside the county, or if you're disabled and can't stand long periods of time, you can vote absentee in my office in those 45 days.
If you
And
work
we also
outside the
have-
county?
Yes.
I never heard that. I actually
sir.
came into your office. I don't know if you were there, but I think once in the last 20 years I voted absentee
Uh-huh.
because I was out of
That was
I was
the-
out of town. I was in a
Correct.
different state.
Correct. One of the 19 reasons we have is business. And the law says if your business takes you outside of the county, you can vote absentee.
Okay.
And it wasn't popular in the past because we hand counted all of those
Right.
things after 7 o'clock and after everything was done. The poll workers had to then, after everything else was done, then they could start opening up absentees. Now that we have a cap, we've been trying to tell people that if you work outside the county, you can,
Okay.
when people call and they want to know if we have early voting, that's one of the things we say. No, but if you work outside the county, if you're disabled or you can't stand for long periods of time.
Right.
And so we've
Okay.
been trying to tell people as they call.
And we didn't publish that. We, the board, we, the registrar's office, electoral, we didn't publish that as much as we should have, and maybe we should now.
Right.
Because, I mean, that's
But yes.
That's the
and
thing,
then I'll
people-
just have, then I can just have some,
okay.
when I see that it's picking up, then I can ask someone else to come and work that day.
Okay, and I mean,
Okay.
really, I'm just
Yeah.
trying to make it easier and better and happier for all of us involved. I thought until a couple of weeks ago we were going to have a primary so we could test this out, but I guess we're not going to have a primary next year. But we will have an election next year, which may be the same thing. So
Yes.
we do want to make sure it gets better.
Yes, and we're writing it down.
Okay, and I'll send you the spreadsheet that I made.
Okay, that would be
Um,
wonderful.
That would be
You know,
great.
so you can have it. It's just, I just took what you had and did percentages of the county.
Okay.
You know, Reedy Church was by far the highest turnout period. So, but we were second. And we would like another machine.
Well, along the lines of another machine, since the town has now gone to elections in November and no longer in May, one of the biggest issue was people that live in town had to vote at a separate machine. And that ended up with people being in there forever. I mean, some people spent 2.5 hours in there waiting to vote in town. And that's about 400 folks.
Right.
Are we going to be able to have an additional machine on those years when there's town elections as well as state elections? Because that is going to be an issue that's not going to go away.
The reason that we used a separate machine for the two towns is because we had no way of
Right.
figuring out how many people in the town voted other than giving them a separate machine. And I have, I've asked someone with, actually the IT guy at Stafford, I've asked him, because he works with the electronic poll books, and he's going to look into seeing if there's a way to add that on a report, number of people in the town. He couldn't get that done before this election, but he's going to look into that for me. If I have a report, then you can use the same machine. It'll have both elections on it, and the poll worker can just pick the machine, pick the election that they're wanting to vote in, and do it that way.
Okay, so that shouldn't be a problem in the future because, I mean, people
We
were
hope not.
leaving or they were actually skipping voting in the town election to just vote in the county machine so that they, I mean, plenty of
Yeah.
people did it. And they actually skipped because they couldn't wait any longer for the machine.
There's always the option to vote paper ballot, too.
I don't know what was going on inside. All I can say is what I heard outside.
Right.
And a number of people just skipped voting in the town to vote in the county because the line was so long behind the town machine.
Okay.
Right. Like I said, they do have the option of using the paper ballots, and we do have them there for them to be able to use. So it's not like we're trying to deny anyone the right to be able to vote like they want, you know.
Right.
But I can understand what you're saying,
Yeah.
you know.
And it's a new thing for us all, so we will.
Right.
Right. I'm just saying that in the future, there needs to either be two machines or a different method because a lot of people were, they'd go in and other people would come out that had gone in after them and were done. And
Right.
the town line was quite long. And that'll be twice. That won't be next year. It'll be the year after, so it'll be during the senatorial election
Right.
that'll actually take place again.
Ladies,
Yeah.
ladies, could I just ask one more question now? Now, I saw on your sheet that if we replace all our machines, it's going to cost $175,000.
Yes, sir.
So we're probably not going to do that. But do you get, as Mr. Seeley said, there's special things we have to do for the town, special things we have to do for Port Royal. Do they contribute any money towards the election? The town of Bowling Green or the town of Port Royal?
Yeah, they pay for their paper ballots, and we're going to bill them for one poll worker. Because
So they do actually now pay for some of that. They didn't pay before.
they paid for all of it before because
Okay.
they were in May.
Right. Okay.
Right.
But I mean, in the November part.
In the November one, we haven't sent the bill out yet, but we had already told them that they would be responsible for one poll worker and their paper ballots. They paid for their own paper ballots.
Right.
And then
And
we
then
will
the one
bill
poll
them
worker.
for one poll worker.
Now, do we bill the state parties, like the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, if they have a primary?
No, that was before the legislation last year, and it didn't pass for the parties to pay for their primaries.
Yeah, but that was a thought in the legislature last
Yes,
year.
it was a bill last year. I haven't, to be honest, I haven't gotten started reading the legislation yet.
I haven't
But
either,
as soon, if it comes up, if y'all want me to, I'll send you copies of the bills that I think relate to Caroline County.
Would you please? Because I mean, that to me only seems fair. If there's whoever, I don't care what party it is, if a party's having a primary, they should contribute some money to that primary because they charge filing fees and all that. So
Right.
we shouldn't be
Oh,
burdened with all of those.
I agree with you.
We agree?
Yes.
I knew we were on the
agree
same
that.
team.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, ladies. Again, I really appreciate the hard work. We're going to do some things to help you make it better. So thanks again.
Thank
One,
you.
one thing before
Oh,
you
I'm
do
sorry.
go down, sit down. I just have a concern of us trying to accommodate every district, every precinct, because I can tell you all precincts had people waiting in line for 2 hours, 2.5 hours. That's not unusual during a presidential election.
No, sir. Right. And
That's
we also
probably a
had
short
two
period of time.
constitutional amendments that,
Right.
even though it
Took
was
time.
on, I had it on the website, but a lot of people didn't check it out.
Absolutely. If we have to take machines away from one district to give, or one precinct to give to another precinct, just inconveniencing one group to satisfy another group, and I don't know that's the way to look at it. We just have to find some other way of trying to accommodate the issue rather than just transferring.
In our budget, in the electoral board's budget this year, they are requesting one machine, another
Yeah.
paper machine.
I saw that.
As a board and a registrar, we're not excited about going to 175,000 all paper.
Right.
We like our win votes, but to help with it, the electoral board had discussed in one of their meetings getting one more machine and putting it in a precinct, and just one precinct. And we could choose a precinct, whether a small precinct, the town precinct, or a large precinct, and see how the paper works. And as the win votes,
Phase
yes,
out?
I don't like that word.
Phase out?
Yes, that word, but
Phase
yes,
out?
as we phase out our win votes, the electoral board had discussed in their meeting buying 1 or 2 machines a year, because as technology changes, we've only used this one DS for our absentee this year, so they wanted to keep looking to see if technology is better, because we can't get the win votes. So
Right.
we would like
We're gonna have
the electoral
to change.
board has been looking into, and the DS200 is a new one that was just certified with the state, so hopefully they won't decertify it anytime soon.
Gotcha. As long as we're not going to make changes to make convenience for one group and inconvenience another group, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
We can look at
Allocate
your
them fairly.
issues. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask one question?
Surely, Mr. Taylor.
Okay, just even before that, would like to thank you all for what you do and say that in the precinct that I represent, things went very well. And the vote, the machines worked well, and certainly all the people there were quite cooperative, so we do appreciate that. The question that I have is, in this past election, citizens were able to use driver's license, utility bills, just different things as far as identification. Are all of those things going to still remain in effect? Are there going to be changes? And if there are going to be changes, how are we going to, or how soon can we get the word out so that citizens will know, or how are we going to go about doing that?
That's going to come from your legislature. That's not something that we have any control over. And
Right.
as soon as we find out, we'll put the